Welcome to the Short Funk Podcast. I'm Tom Barbley. Today, a little update associated with Noble Ape. I've talked a little bit associated with the programming language within Noble Ape being actually human-readable language, and the one missing part of this is associated with the naming of territories. Gulfs, atolls, lakes, hills, mountains, valleys, these kind of terms need to be applied to the landforms, and not necessarily that all apes use the same names for these landforms, but just at least that landforms can be represented by language, so a rough location, can be represented by language. This is the one missing piece that I've identified in terms of names, in terms of verbs, in terms of time. All these things are described through the language, but the location is never accurately described, and for that reason I think a location naming system is really critical. What this means is firstly reducing the territory size. There are 8 by 8 territories in the Noble Ape landscape. I think in order to make this reasonable, they probably should be 16 by 16 territories, which would mean a smaller area of land, and an area of land which would be easier to map onto the names that I'm utilizing. And then through mathematics alone, I need to distinguish what these various landforms look like and categorize them into what is now roughly about 22 terms, but I'll probably move down to be about 16 terms to describe the different landscapes so the apes can go and say, I am going to Barnabas Headland, or I am on the flat land of Wilson Newton, or this kind of stuff. I mean, the naming conventions, once you have the land description, are actually very curious, and this is where these things become somewhat unique, because various apes will construct various names for the things, and only through language will these names be shared. All this kind of curiosity. But what I hope to end up with is a standalone module that contains the names of the apes, the names of the land locations, the verb interactions, these kind of things in a somewhat processing nature. So this can be the replacement to brain code and also have the characteristics of readability, simplification, all this kind of stuff. Also the fuzziness, certain things have a fuzziness of truth associated with them. And obviously, as I've described previously, how things in the future can have no truth embodied in them until after they occur. All these kind of curious elements will come together in something that I think could be quite interesting, but still needs a certain degree of time to get it together. And in this light, recording short funk podcasts in an informational sense is very useful, but I don't want it to take away from my coding time. Tom Barbley in San Jose, signing out.